Good morning, Felicia. So nice to see you. Thanks for coming on this call this morning. I know you're excited about Cvent Connect for the 6th of October, and I just wondered if you could explain in broad terms a little bit more about what you're up to with it.
Absolutely. Well, for those who don't know, Cvent CONNECT Europe is this one big meeting place for event planners, marketers, and hoteliers and suppliers to come together to talk tech, to talk future of events, to talk about all of the biggest community conversations that we need to have around D&I, well-being, and supply chains and staff shortages and all sorts. So for me, I'm kind of wrangling all of that, literally pulling everything I've just said, pulling it all together and like, right, what can we do next? And extending the program. So yeah, a lot going on at the moment.
Fantastic. I was looking at the agenda, and as you just said, you mentioned well-being, sustainability, DE&I, not necessarily things I'd expect from a tech conference. Would you class it as a tech conference, or would you class it as being broader than that?
It's a probably 50-50 mix. It's definitely broader than just a tech conference. I mean, there is a place called the Innovation Pavilion where it is mainly tech. You come along to learn about how to use technology, how to extend your use of it, what's new. You know, we have product roadmap sessions where people can see, well, what's next for technology? So there's a lot of tech that goes into the conference. You know, we see each other at most of the other events that we go to, and this is a nice place to come together and say, okay, well, what am I using that tech to do and how is that helping my organization or the industry at large? So there's a lovely balance of the two, I would say, and it's broadened up over the years, and that's based on user feedback. A lot of people said we want to talk about more than tech, and so I'm like, why not?
No, it sounds really exciting. And I know you've particularly asked ABCO and as an exec, we're coming on the 6th of October, and that's sort of community conversation day, isn't it? I think you've invited other associations and things too. Do you want to
Yeah.
give just a little bit of an outline about how that will work?
Sure. So the aim is that, you know, the associations come along alongside the rest of the industry to discuss mostly DE&I on that day. We could have discussed, you know, a number of things, but one of the pieces of feedback that we've had recently is some of these discussions can be too broad, and then you don't leave with anything that's tangible or actionable to do after the discussion. It's all very nice and well having it, but what are we going to do next? And so the aim of this session is we're going to have about 10 minutes of panel, and the panel is just going to set the tone of why are we here, what are we talking about, and why is it important? But it's also going to give the challenge to the room. The aim of the people in the room is to spend the next 30 to 35 minutes talking around those topics of, you know, well, what's the challenge? What's the issue? And what can we do together to move that issue forward? And then we can hold ourselves accountable and say, well, did we do that? And if not, why not? What were the challenges? But if so, that's great. What can we do next? So that's the aim of that big community conversation we're having on the 6th.
Oh, fantastic. And I know we're working with ICA and New Intent and looking at EDI different things. You say you've tried to sort of focus on one thing. Even that is so broad, isn't it? When you start to discuss it, there are so many different elements to it. It can feel a little bit overwhelming. So I suppose it's good to sort of try to work out what priorities might be or what we can do more quickly and what might maybe takes a little bit more of a journey to get there. And I suppose it's not only about what we do with our associations, is it, but how events generally run and how the greater sort of association not-for-profit side of the industry can learn from that. Would that be
Yeah.
fair?
I think so. And I think, you know, there are challenges everywhere. And like you just said, it being broad, you know, we can talk D and I, but then what within D and E and I? And
Mm.
the community conversation we had in July did mainly focus around race. And, you know, I think we looked at the report Black in the Boardroom, and we actually started sort of saying, well, you know, what do we want? What are we looking for here? You know, is it 50-50? And we could kind of say, no, that's not the split. It needs to be representative of the space that you're in. And so if you're in London, maybe it looks like this. If you're not in London, maybe it looks like this. And that helps people to understand, well, what am I trying to achieve? What should I be doing? What's acceptable? How do I do it? So I think there's a lot to learn from the groups that are maybe sometimes feeling a bit marginalized,
Mm.
and can pass and share that information back with the organizations that are quite honestly trying their best to think of what do I do next, so, and it's not a blame game. I think that's the one thing that I really want to walk into this with. It's not about you've not done this right or you're asking for too much. It's about what can we do together? How can we work together without blaming each other for the flaws that currently exist within our industry?
I think we've all got that intent to try to move forward, and it's sort of almost a support network, isn't it? Then to try to work it out together, so that we're not all trying to work it out individually. And I think you're also offering more networking alongside the content. Is that right?
We have discovered that networking, I think like a lot of people, networking is so important these days. It used to be content, we'd always hear content's king, content's king. I still think content is king-ish because I love content. I used to be a content manager, but networking has kind of almost started to dominate that. And so what we're doing is we're offering a healthy amount of session and then networking. So there's a large lunch networking break where people can meet people. We've got something interesting happening during those breaks where we're just going to send out polls throughout the entire lunch break so people can respond. And then I'm hoping some of those polls will be slightly contentious.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm intrigued. It'll be good to see. And I think, like content justifies people to be able to go, doesn't it? But I think particularly post-pandemic, it's that networking, it's that ability to actually be in a room with other people, and to talk to them, and the serendipity of what comes from those conversations is so important, isn't it? So I think, trying to get that balance. Good luck.
Yeah, well, we'll try our best. But I remember someone said something to me a while back, and he was saying, I really want to make this particular change. I won't enlighten you what it was, but he said, but I think one of the issues is I don't know enough people to make that change. My network isn't large enough, and what shall I do? How do I expand my network? And it's through things like this, going to these types of conversations or having the lunch and sitting with people maybe you're not used to. Like, don't
Mm.
sit necessarily with the people that you do see at every event, but just rock up at a table. And I know that's not that easy
You have
to
to be
do.
brave.
You do. So we're going to try and help facilitate a bit of
Okay,
that.
fantastic. And I think you said as well earlier in this conversation that it's all about having some actionable takeaways. It's about going away afterwards and having something that you can change with within your own job roles. Is that right? Is that
That's
one of the?
correct. Yeah. So when I was thinking about the content, I think it started with sustainability. I said we should have a track session and an act session. So the track session is, okay, how do I track? What should I track? When do I track, with my carbon? But then the act session is what behaviorally should we be doing that's going to make that difference to enable the tracking to make some kind of sense. And I think I've tried to make sure that all of our sessions have that double edge to it. It's the statistical, data driven, what's happening. And then it's the behavioral, more
Mm,
feeling. If we can shape the feelings in the right way, you'll have a better impact on the statistics. So that's
mm,
how we've tried to balance a lot of our content when we're looking at things like salaries and rising costs in the workforce, and we're looking at skills and changing your job role. How can I be what I need to be in order to be the right person for the industry and for myself and for my organization? So a lot of feedback. We're going to hopefully give people almost like come with your book, maybe not, come with your phone so it's sustainable, and take your takeaways of like, right, I'm going to try this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to change that, I'm going to
mm.
take that back to my organization. That's how a lot of the content's shaping up.
Fantastic. I think it is definitely the case, isn't it? What gets measured gets done, but that doesn't actually get to your heart, does it? And make that sort of purpose for change. So it's nice definitely to have that balance.
Yeah.
And how can people sign up?
So easy as pie. If you just didn't know where Cvent was at all, and you couldn't find our website, you can always Google Cvent Connect Europe, and it will come up with the website, and you can register either in person or virtually. There's a virtual premium offer, which just gives you more access to those networking opportunities we spoke about, but you can also access it for free, virtually. And you can sign up as we do split our signups to supplier and event professional marketing. It's just so that we can identify you on site and give you the best way to network once you get on site. So Yeah, and if you do know our website, just head to cvent.co.uk and there's all the details on there as well.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you wanted to mention at all, or?
Just that I'm really looking forward to it. And
Me
actually, as
too.
hard as it is to plan, there's so much programming, from seeing Ashley Banjo and Callie Beaton on stage, and awards this year we're having for the first time, and our end of conference party is in a really cool place. So there's so much programming. So if you can't come for all, just come for one or two pieces and I think you'll still be fulfilled.
And it's less than a month and you're still looking calm, so well done.
It's a fallacy. There's stuff going on under the water.
You're like the swan. Lovely to speak to you. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.